Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Shelley Plumb. I am a certified life strategy coach. I am a podiatric physician. I am a founder of a company that I hold near and dear to my heart. That is PlumbTalk. Now, for those of you not familiar, PlumbTalk is a company that is dedicated to promoting a healthy lifestyle, to enhancing self-esteem in individuals worldwide. Just a little bit of personal information about me. I actually grew up, believe it or not, in Washington State. I landed in sunny South Florida, where we, this time of the year, get a lot of sunshine, which is beautiful. A couple months ago, though, I was in North Carolina, where it was raining cats and dogs. I have to tell you, it's a funny story because we are talking about hitting a home run with a curveball today. I was in the airport, ready to go to North Carolina. I'm going through security. I take off all my jewelry, I take off my shoes, put them on the belt. I'm surrounded by all these beautiful people. I walk through security and beep, 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 it stops me. Why did it stop me? They proceeded to take me off to the side, and I had to roll up my pants and show all these beautiful people how a busy woman in today's society hems her pants. How does a busy woman in today's society hem her pants? She hems her pants with safety pins. Yes, it was very, very embarrassing. So that day, life most certainly threw me a curveball. But seriously, curveballs in life or obstacles have a way of getting in the way of our goals and our dreams. We all have goals. We all have dreams. I firmly believe that it does not matter how much money you make. It does not matter what stage of life you're in. We all have goals. We all have dreams. Not just that, we deserve to dream. We deserve the dream. Why? Because we have unique gifts, we have unique talents, and we have an obligation to utilize them. So we are here today to talk about hitting a home run with a curveball. Have you ever thought about what makes a curveball a curveball? Interestingly, if you look it up on the internet, a curveball has a very unique spin. It has a very strong backward spin, which makes it, when it's thrown, drop and veer to the left very quickly. So when it's thrown at you, it almost tricks you by illusion. You can't hit it. Life's obstacles, interestingly, are very similar to that. How about the speed of a curveball? A curveball has a unique speed. It may not be as fast as like a fastball is, but it does seem to come at you from nowhere, probably because of the curve of it. Life's obstacles do very much the same thing. I was telling a friend of mine that story about the curveball and the characteristics of a curveball, and they're like, well, how do you know so much about baseball? And I'll tell you, I spent a good majority of my high school years playing fast pitch softball. I was that little girl on the mound winding up and throwing that ball as hard as I can. I'll tell you, I have such fond memories of being in the yard and throwing ball after ball to my father, and being on the mound during an actual game, crystal blue sky in Washington State, and watching the legendary Mount St. Helens blow in the background. It was incredible. Very, very exciting times in my life. When I grew up, my love for baseball did not wane. I had 3 beautiful children, and I thought that I would, turn that love for baseball over to my children and watch them play. My oldest son, I started him in baseball, and we giggle to this day about him playing baseball. Because when I think of my son, I think of a quote by Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth says this about outfield. He says, gee, it's awfully lonely in outfield. You get really bored with nothing to do. And that's what they used to put my son in outfield. And well, I'll tell you what, he wasn't bored though. I remember being in the stands with the other mothers, and they're all talking, and they're all talking about their children. And they're like, well, which one is your son? And I'm looking at all these little boys who are running around. They're all baseball ready for that ball to come, and I look out and I'm like, oh, there he is. There's my son. He is the one that is on his back in the grass, and he's rolling around. So that was my son at the time. At that time in his life, he did not care about home runs. He didn't care about baseballs. He was just there to roll in the grass for the most part. So we all have goals. We all have dreams. This is life. There is no manual. There are no rules. Everything happens for a reason. I'd like you all to take a second, and I like to do this a lot of times with my talks. With regards to goals, regards to dreams, I want you to take a moment, and I want you to put everything down. I want you to visualize one goal, one dream that you want to do. Don't think about obstacles. One goal, one dream that you would like to do. Do you want to start a business? Do you want to run a marathon? Do you want to climb a mountain? A lot of people talk about that. Obstacles should not get in the way. When I think of obstacles, I really think about a baseball. A ball, I think we'll all agree, if it's thrown different ways, will have different effects, won't it? For example, if it's thrown hard and fast at you, it can hurt you. On the other hand, if it is thrown back and forth in a light manner, we can all have fun with it, right? Interestingly, words are the same as the ball. If I throw a positive word your way, a positive comment, then that lifts your day. On the other hand, if I were to say a mean, nasty comment, what does that do to your goals and your dreams? I remember growing up in college, when I was studying trying to declare what my major was, I had people actually tell me, you're not good enough to do that. What does that do to your goals? What does that do to your dreams? It puts a barrier there. On the other hand, I grew up, I started a business, and I flat out had people tell me, you will fail. You will fail. What does that do to your goals and your dreams? It most certainly is a major, major obstacle. So, with regards to that ball, if we drop the ball, what happens? Literally speaking, a baseball, if you drop it, it's going to bounce a little bit, right? But as soon as it bounces, it eventually comes to a stop and it does not go any further, does it? Now let's take a look at our goals and our dreams. If we quite literally in our life drop the ball, we might bounce a little bit, but we're going to stop. We're going to stop. We are not going to progress forward. Our dream will never, ever be realized. Why is that important? It is important because we are living, breathing beings. If we look at nature, in nature, if you look at plants, for example, if they're not growing, what are they doing? They're dying. If we are not growing intellectually, physically, or spiritually, what are we doing? We are not progressing forward in our life. Everyone has heard of Tommy Lasorda, haven't you? Tommy Lasorda had a quote that really hit home for me. He talks about 3 different types of baseball players. There are 3 types of baseball players. The type that make it happen, the ones that watch it happen, and then the ones that turn around and go, well, what happened? I do not want to be that last category of people. In researching the different personality types, those that hit home runs with curveballs, I was particularly intrigued by one story. It's actually a legendary story. It was, I'm going to recall his life history and see if you can guess out there who it is. He was born in 1895. He was born to a poor couple who subsequently had to put him in a Catholic reformatory. He grew up in an orphanage. He encountered, if you read his life history, he encountered obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. Now, despite that, he turned everything around and he turned into a legendary baseball player. He led the Red Sox to 3 championships. The 1916 title, he had 714 home runs in his lifetime. Can anybody guess who that was? It was Babe Ruth. I get chills when I think about it. It's an amazing example of someone faced with an obstacle, hit a home run with that. So, let's flip the turn here. Let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum. How about those people that when they're faced with an obstacle, they let it stop them? Or they feel like they strike out? Now, I want to make it very, very clear that I'm saying they feel like they strike out because I firmly believe that no one ever really, truly strikes out. We all make mistakes, but a mistake is not a mistake if you learn from it. We grow from that. Through our PlumbTalk programs, we have been very privileged to meet a variety of individuals, a lot of people who have faced real obstacles in their life. We have encountered people who have been victims of domestic violence. We have had people sitting in our audience who have been victims of adult bullying. All of them felt at some point in their life like they struck out. Now, looking at the Babe Ruths in the world and looking at the people who feel like they strike out, I often wonder, what is the difference between these people? What makes one person take an obstacle and hit a home run with it versus another person who faces an obstacle and lets them stop it because they feel like they strike out? What is the difference? I struggled with that for quite a long time. And I will tell you, I am a podiatric physician. The answer, quite frankly, came through the door in the form of an elderly little woman. Now, let me tell you about this woman. She was no ordinary woman. She came through the door into the office with the brightest smile on her face every single day. When she went through the office, not a person passed her without a praise or a comment or a compliment of some sort. She quite literally lit the room up. I got her into the room, the first time she was a new patient with me, and I was looking at her chart, and can I tell you that she was over 100 years old? Incredible. Incredible. I asked her at that point in my life, I asked her, what is your secret? And she told me point blank, she says, honey, she says, my secret is that I'm grateful. I am grateful for everything, everyone, and every day when I wake up. She was grateful. In the course of me treating her over months, I got to know her very well. I was intrigued, in some cases horrified, and inspired all at the same time by the stories that she would tell me. And it was quite clear that she encountered obstacles, and instead of letting them stop her, she turned them around into opportunities. It was quite frankly amazing. And in treating her through the course of that time, I knew what her secret was. She knew how to stand. She knew who she was, she knew what she was meant to do, and she was not going to let anybody tell her anything different. She knew how to stand firm, she knew how to stand prepared, and she knew how to stand focused. Now, let's analyze each one of those. She knew how to stand firm. Back to our baseball analogy. In baseball, when you are about to hit a ball, your stance is very, very important. If your feet are together, you're going to wobble and you're not going to hit that ball. You're going to fall over. On the other hand, if your stance is your legs are apart and your knees are bent, you're going to have a firm foundation. What this woman taught me is that she knew how to stand. She had a very firm foundation. That foundation was a very firm sense of self-esteem. She knew who she was. She knew what she was meant to do. So right here, right now, I want you to take out a pen and paper, and I want you to write down right at this very second some of your personal strengths. And I want you to list them honestly. I want you to turn around, and I want you to list your personal passions. That goal, that dream that we talked about earlier, I want you to list that on paper so that you can see it. Get it out of your head and get it onto the paper. Now, once you've done that, how are you going to use those strengths to pursue that passion? I really want you to think about it. So she knew how to stand firm. The second thing, she knew how to stand prepared. What do I mean by that? Okay, back to baseball. In baseball, okay, my stance is good, right? And I got a firm foundation here and I'm ready to go. Am I going to hit anything with empty hands? I am not. How can you hit a baseball without a bat? You need the proper tools. You need the resources. That's the second thing this lovely woman taught me. is through the course of treating her, I watched her encounter an obstacle, and if she did not have what it took within her to deal with that obstacle, she was not afraid to reach out. That is a fault of mine. In the past, I have let obstacles stop me because I was afraid to ask for help. And we can't be afraid to ask for help. So right here, right now, on that paper, you've already took stock of what you have, your personal tools, to pursue that passion, to achieve that goal. What things can you reach out to and get the tools that you need to accomplish your goals? So stand prepared, very important. The third thing she taught me is how to stand focused. Back to baseball again. If we have our bat in our hand, our stance is firm. If we're looking all over at different things and that ball is coming at us, will we possibly ever hit that ball? We will not. How can you hit a ball that you're not looking at? What this woman taught me is when you are going towards a goal, you have to keep your sight on that goal. If you are distracted, you're multitasking, and you're looking at all different types of things, you will never get there. And if you do get there, it's going to take a significantly larger amount of time. So she knew how to stand focused. Very, very important. So, stand firm, stand prepared, stand focused. With regards to the game of life, let me ask you, where are you at? Are you at home? Are you in the dugout? Are you rounding the bases? Are you one of those lucky ones that is hitting that home run? I think we will all agree that everything eventually comes full circle. What is for sure is that there can be a curveball at every single base. It is vitally important that we know how to negotiate those curveballs. By standing firm, standing prepared, and standing focused, we have a better chance of negotiating that curveball. The important thing is when that whistle blows in the game of life, it does not mean stop, always. Sometimes it means to slow down. Sometimes it's telling you that it's time to shift direction. Back to my little boy in the grass, I still chuckle when I think about that. I realize something now that is extremely important. I realize now that he was having fun. When's the last time you had fun? He was a success in his mind, ball or not. In his mind, he had already hit a home run. So, with regards to the game of life, see a curveball for what it really is. It sometimes signifies a shift in direction. Because we all know that life really determines who plays the game of life. It's up to us to show up ready to play. Thank you.